everybody. I'm Mike Connell, founder of Boston Making a Difference, here today with another episode of BMAD Spotlight. And today's guest is a wonderful artist and author, and her name is Jenny Pivor. Jenny, welcome to BMAD Spotlight.
Hi, Mike. Thanks for having me.
Oh, it's wonderful to have you here. Jenny, I was excited to be with you the other night at the Boston Undercover. Why don't we start off? You could tell us a little bit about that event and what was going on. We have some nice B-roll to throw in there when we can. And, why don't you tell us a little bit about the event the other night?
Sure. I'm in a group called New England Indie Authors Collective, or NEAC, and the website is neac.org. And we're 4 authors who have all put out books, and we have been doing different events around the Zoom world since all of this started, and we've done publishing seminars for libraries and modern literary salons. This particular event, though, was on location, which was different. And the location that we chose was my art show in a gallery in the South End. So that was kind of an exciting thing to do it out of there so I could show my artwork. So Boston Undercover is about telling things about Boston that people like, just quirky things. You know, I talked about the art world, and I read a little bit about a coffee shop in Kendall Square that influenced me and made me start writing a short story, which turned into a novel. And it was about kind of the scene in Kendall Square, the tech scene. But they go all over the place. One guy did something on a sandwich, his favorite sandwich. And we talked about, one of the guys is gay, and he talked about the scene in Provincetown, which is related, and, just it's something for everybody. So, things that you wouldn't know necessarily.
That's great. I had a good time, and I thought I'd just, let the audience see a couple of clips from the people you just spoke about so they get a feel for the event. Let's take a look.
Cool. Great.
The New England Indie Authors Collective, Jenny Pivor, Judah LeBlanc, Randy Ross, and Jason M. Rubin. The 4 of us would like to welcome you and thank you for joining us here on Zoom for Boston Undercover.
It's not just about capturing a photograph or capturing an image. For me, it's important to think about, rhythms and composition and color and contrast and all those things that make a painting speak to you.
And every year they have a particular theme. The year I was there was Cowboys and Indians. So there were a lot of gay cowboys and gay Native Americans, and they took it in all kinds of directions. As you can imagine, it was kind of wild.
2 older kids, boys of about 3, stand on their chairs and start banging the table. The mother raises her voice. "Pele, Beckham, sit down, now." Jackie always joked that hipsters like to name their kids after foreign soccer players. She also joked that there was a simple solution for overpopulation and global warming. Eat more kids.
Smell and vision, so there's touch, there's always, old cardboard has nice texture to it, that's really nice. And then the hearing, of course, they're always playing music at used record stores. Sometimes they'll even, if you're interested in an album and you'd like to hear it, sometimes they'll even play it for you. I mean, where else but in a used record store are you gonna get Drums, Drums, A Go-Go by Hal Blaine, who is the greatest session drummer of all time, and frankly, grew up in Holyoke, Massachusetts. True. This one, I have another version of this where the glasses are removed so you can, see the 3D.
Jenny, you are a multi-talented artist. You're a graphic artist, a photographer, and painter, and also a great author. Why don't you tell us a little bit about yourself and all the different things you're doing?
Oh my God. So, well, I've had a bunch of different careers in my life. The string that holds them all together is art. I was an art teacher, and I've been a graphic designer and a web designer. So everything is sort of and a clothing designer too. And all those things are sort of offshoots of art. And I had a self-publishing company that I ran for 10 years in Boston called Merrimack Media. And so,
Which is how I met you. I remember way back when.
right. So, I mean, I believe that if you're doing what you're supposed to be doing, you're doing a culmination of all the things that you've done before. And so what I'm doing now is just a culmination of everything else, and plus what I'm excited about doing next. And so what I've been excited about lately is photography, because I moved up to Newburyport, and there's so many gorgeous places up here. So I'm just going nuts shooting photos all the time and editing them. So the painting is sort of taken a little bit of a backseat for now, and I'm writing a sequel to my novel. So it's just things kind of, ebb and flow. And out doing graphic design, I'm doing a bunch of books for people.
Well, tell us a little bit about first, you have some themes with your artwork. Tell us a little bit about the themes.
Okay. This show in particular is called Resilience. And the reason it's called Resilience is because there's a bunch of pictures of paintings in there of koi fish. Koi fish are the Japanese symbol for resilience. And I took that as a personal symbol. I lost my husband a few years ago, and that to me is like strength, and I like that. So but aside from that, I love the colors and the rhythms and the composition, and that was interesting. But when I was living in Boston, it struck me that everybody had their face in a cell phone, and there's so many spaces between people who aren't communicating. And so I started doing paintings of people talking on cell phones. So I have this whole series in there as well called The Spaces Between Us, but the main theme is called Resilience.
They're very colorful. Everything is really brilliant with the colors.
Yeah, there's one right behind me. That's the triptych, the big triptych in the show.
Okay, now at the event the other night, you read a little bit from your book, which I'll play just a short clip here that you were reading at the event.
That's okay.
Hi. So this is my book, OMG. So this chapter is called Simon Says, and it starts out. Jolt was Kylie's favorite coffee shop and the unofficial epicenter of the startup world in Kendall Square. As usual, it was humming with an undertone of excitement and productivity, and Kylie knew she could get inspired just by breathing the caffeinated air, the perfect setting to plan her new business, or what she hoped would save her from destitution. As she sipped her coffee, hoping the caffeine would handle the headache that was brewing, a boyish-looking young man approached her table. He was lanky and awkward, balancing a laptop and a cup of coffee. "Hi, I'm Simon Whitehead," he said. "Can I sit down for a minute to talk?" "I'm kind of busy. What's this about?" She gave Simon a once-over. He hardly looked old enough to be drinking coffee. His baby face showed sparse whiskers reminiscent of stray weeds popping out of the sand. He had the look of a precocious and unkempt middle schooler. Simon slid into the seat anyway. "How's your business plan coming?" Kylie sucked in her breath. She hadn't told anyone. "How do you know about that?" "So, I consider it my job to know what's going on here. I picked it up on the Wi-Fi." He gestured wildly in the air with a hand, as if her business plan was floating up there. She supposed it was the perfect place for a hacker to look for work, but it seemed he was pushing it. And that is part of the beginning of the first chapter of OMG, and it kind of goes downhill from there, so check it out.
All right, we're back. Now, tell us a little bit about OMG. What was the inspiration for it? And tell us, without giving away too much, tell us a little bit about the story.
So as I mentioned, it was inspired by a coffee shop in Kendall Square that was called Voltage. And it was a tech place, everybody was in there banging out code or, meeting with venture capitalists or having meetings. And so I started writing a story, and it was about a hacker who picked up someone's business plan over Wi-Fi, and that someone was Kylie, the main character of the book, and she was an MBA who wanted to start her own business, and anyway, she conceived this hacking program called OMG that was to do good. It was to help people, find out what they needed to know in their life to make good decisions. And anyway, so this guy picks it up over the Wi-Fi, and he helps her build it. He's a developer, and it gets into the wrong hands. And there's coincidentally, a deadly virus is going to be released in Boston, which is sort of, I wrote this like 5 years ago, I started writing this, and now all of a sudden there's really a virus in Boston. So like, what do I do with that?
Are you saying you caused this pandemic? Is that what?
Yeah, I know. I sort of saw the whole thing, right? So anyway, so she has to solve it using her program. If only it were that easy now.
That's right. Well, you do a lot of, wonderful things. Tell the audience how they can get in touch with you if they'd like to work with you.
Sure. My website is jennypivor.com, JennyPivor.com. And from there you can get to my photo website and my art website. It's linked up there. And you can contact me, Jenny at jennypivor.com. And I'm happy to help people with their books, book covers, get them some artwork or photos. My photo website is a really neat thing, and I should tell you about that because
Sure, go right ahead.
although I was a web designer for a long time, I'm using a third-party platform for photographers and artists, and it's got this cool thing where you can you can look at an image and you can see how it will look on your wall, and you can look at it in different sizes, and that's pretty neat. So augmented reality, you use your phone for it.
That's awesome.
It is.
That's great. Jenny, thank you so much for being here today on BMAD Spotlight. Any last words of wisdom you want to share with our audience before we go?
Just the pandemic has been, I think, a little easier for me because I'm in my creative space, and that's a good place to be. So if you have a place in your life that's creative, just go there and stay safe. And
Thank you so much, Jenny. And that's it for another episode of BMAD Spotlight. Thanks for joining us, and we'll see you on the next one. Jenny, take care. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Mike.